And good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
And we wish a happy, healthy good morning to everyone joining us from all around the world. All of our folks joining us on the live stream. I had a number of people send me texts and emails last night saying, I think I'm just going to stay home in my nice warm PJs and enjoy the service from home. However, I did want to let everybody here who's present know that we are giving double coupon points towards Nirvana for you being here today. So, and of course, don't forget there are blankets back by the altar as well as tissues and throat lozenges. And of course, happy Sunday, happy celebration of Martin Luther King Jr.'s incredible presence on this planet and the work that continues to this day. You might have noticed that I'm sitting about 2 inches higher off the chair because the Chiefs won last night, so I was very excited about that. And happy Completion Day. And I know everybody's going, wait, what's Completion Day? Well, you know all those things that you've always talked about that you're going to do if only the planets would align? Well, guess what? For the next couple weeks, all of the planets are aligning, all of you astronomy buffs. All of the planets are aligning, so whatever it was you were putting off until the planets lined up, well, it's time. So happy Completion Day. So today's talk, the beloved community, some of you might recognize that term. I will tell you a little bit more about it in the talk. There's a book written by Mark Andrus, and the book is called Brothers in the Beloved Community, the Friendship of Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh and Martin Luther King Jr. Although Dr. King was a Christian minister, he was also very, very open to all traditions. He saw the joy, the happiness, the truth teachings in many forms, not just the one in his tradition. And so Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh and Martin Luther King Jr. there, Dr. Hanh and Dr. King both together, as you could see in this photograph from 1966. These two men met in 1966, and they only knew each other for a few years before Dr. King was assassinated in 1968. And they bonded very, very closely over a shared vision of the beloved community, where all are included and at peace with one another, and where each being in the community realizes the connection and the oneness with all beings in all places. Now, there are no detailed notes on their private conversations from this time, and there's no transcript or recording of the press conference itself. However, in an interview with Oprah Winfrey, Dr. Hanh, Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh, he said that we had a discussion about peace, about freedom, and about community. And we both agreed that without a community, we cannot go very far. But we do have the public statement that the two men released together back in 1966. And please allow me to read this statement to you. And as I read this to you, notice the parallels in our practice, in our tradition, and the incredible energy that the two men, these two very sacred, holy beings brought together when they came together. And this is the statement that they released. And remember, this is in 1966, so there was a lot of war. Vietnam was going on, a lot of social a lot of social unrest, and a lot of social injustice was occurring. The civil rights movement was going on, so there was very tumultuous. And, you know, a lot of people are drawing parallels between that time and the time that we may be approaching now. So let me read this for you. This was written and delivered by both Dr. King and Dr. Han. We believe that the Buddhists who have sacrificed themselves, like the martyrs of the civil rights movement, do not aim at the injury of the oppressors, but only at changing their policies. The enemies of those struggling for freedom and democracy are not man. They are discrimination, dictatorship, greed, hatred, and violence, which lie within the heart of man. These are the real enemies of mankind, not man himself. We also believe that the struggles for equality and freedom in Birmingham, Selma, and in Chicago, as in Hawaii, Da Nang, and Saigon, are aimed not at the domination of one people by another. They are aimed at self-determination, peaceful social change, and a better life for all human beings. And we believe that only in a world of peace can the work of construction, of building good societies everywhere, go forward. So living in the beloved community meant, for Dr. King, living in what he called the world house, the world house. Or, as Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh put it, becoming a citizen of the world. Dr. King believed that living in the world house didn't mean abandoning his national and local causes, but seeing the root of suffering and how it is global, born in the hearts of humans everywhere. Folks here at Unity like to sometimes say, as within, so without. Or, as Jack Kornfield, a very popular Buddhist teacher, writer, author, and speaker, likes to say, when we stop the wars inside, we stop the wars outside. The key here is to purify fear, greed, ignorance, and hatred within ourselves. Only then can we know love. Only then can we be a light in the darkness. Dr. King said, hatred cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. The invitation today, my friends, is to continue the works of Dr. King and Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh as we build together the beloved community. The emphasis in this talk today is an approach to building this beloved community from the inside out. Instead of trying to force those who cannot see to see, instead of trying to force those who cannot hear to hear, we work from the inside out. We become a light for the world. We become this example. Another name for beloved community is Sangha. Sangha, as you as we learned in the very opening words of our service today, Sangha is the third jewel of the three jewels of the Buddhist tradition. That's how important beloved community is. Buddhism is built on the three legs of the Buddha, our Buddha nature, the Buddha, the Dharma, the teachings, which include the teachings of Dr. King, the teachings of all of our truth sayers, and of course, Sangha or community. A Sangha is a community of friends practicing the Dharma together in order to bring about and to maintain awareness. The essence of Sangha is awareness, understanding, and acceptance. Awareness of what, you might ask? Awareness of our individual, conditioned, habitual patterns of speech and behavior. Awareness of our automatic reactions and societal norms that we propagate. Understanding. What do you mean by understanding? Understanding, in the Buddhist tradition, especially in the Noble Eightfold Path, this is the first step of the Noble Eightfold Path. Again, this is how important it is. Wise view or wise understanding. This understanding helps us to transform hatred. It helps us to realize that if you had their parents, if you had their schooling and their school experience, and if you had their home life, you might very well behave the same way they are behaving. This is called conditioning. And interestingly enough, this thing that creates so much division and hatred and separation is also something that can unite us. When we see in ourselves how we are conditioned. I remember getting broadsided one time in speaking with a Buddhist teacher, a person of color, how I commented, "I'm not racist." And her response to me was, "Just because you don't want to be racist doesn't mean you're not." Broke me wide open. Having been raised in a racist society, raised in a racist community with racist insurance lines that are drawn and racist practices, yeah, I'm racist. And in seeing this is the only place we can start to heal. Once we open to that and realize it, that's where the healing begins. When we can talk freely about it with each other, that's where the healing begins. So that's the power of this understanding, of this wise view, that we may protest the action, yet love the actor. Seeing their light until they can see it themselves. This is the power of our practice. And finally, acceptance. Remember, Sangha is awareness, understanding, and acceptance. This is the foundation of Sangha, of this community of practitioners right here. Acceptance helps us to move from the shoulds and the shouldn'ts, from the ideal in our head to the reality before us, accepting the truth of this moment, moving from the future and the past to the present. Harmony and love flow from this. Harmony and love flow from these three foundations of awareness, understanding, and acceptance. When you find these elements are present in a community, you know that you have the happiness and the fortune of being in real Sangha. I don't think that the Buddha wanted us to abandon our society, abandon our culture, abandon our roots in order to practice. I know there's all kinds of memes and funny cartoons and television shows about the Buddhist sitting in a cave in Tibet for 30 years. And although that may be the path for some, as Western Buddhists, as Western practitioners, ours is more embracing of our lives as they are, finding truth in our families, in our jobs, in our communities, in our service to our greater Sangha around us. As Western practitioners, it is very much the path of the spiritual warrior. It is embracing our lives and everything that shows up in each and every moment, not running from it. I know it says retreat, but that's not really what it means in the Buddhist practice. So the practice of Buddhism should help people to come back to their families. It should help people re-enter society in order to rediscover and appreciate the good things that are there in their culture. And, very importantly, to replant and grow the seeds of those aspects that are not there. This is our time. As we stand on the precipice of a new government system and all of the change, all of the anxiety that comes with that, this is our time. As Buddhist practitioners, we are here to become aware of what fear arises within us when it comes to the uncertainty of this moment, the anxiety that arises. We know what to do with anxiety and fear. We purify it, we sit with it, we sit down and we have tea with it, and we open to the gifts of anxiety and fear. This is our time because we can bring understanding to a world lost in confusion. This is our time because as practitioners, we can bring acceptance to this moment, accepting the reality of what's happening right now, bringing acceptance to what is ours to do now. It might be to march. It might be to sit. It might be to write letters to our congressmen and our politicians. It might be to send money to causes that are near and dear to our hearts. It might be that we begin holding small Sangha groups at our homes to discuss how we can bring about social change and to right social injustice. This is our time. As we train in awakening bodhicitta, we awaken our spiritual warrior. Not warriors who kill and warriors who hate, warriors who wield weapons of destruction, but warriors of love, warriors of non-aggression, warriors who hear the cries of the world. Warrior bodhisattvas enter challenging situations with the strength of Sangha behind them in order to alleviate suffering. They are willing to cut through personal reactivity, personal idealism, and self-deception. The spiritual warriors are dedicated to uncovering the basic, undistorted truth of this moment. A warrior accepts that we can never know what will happen to us next. We can try to control the uncontrollable by looking for security and predictability, always hoping to be comfortable and safe, but the truth is that we can never avoid uncertainty. It is the truth of this moment that it is always changing, that we are always growing, changing, learning, discovering new parts of ourselves. And when we can experience those parts free of judgment, decision-making, commentary, this is what Dawn spoke of last Sunday, bear attention. When we can become aware of those parts of ourselves free of judgment, commentary, and decision-making, then we can do that for our brothers and sisters, helping them to no longer judge, to no longer have to have a comment and a story about everything that occurs, to no longer make decisions from an unwholesome place. What is that unwholesome place? Fear, hatred, division, ignorance. As practitioners, with the subtlety of our practice, we begin to actually feel those places. We feel what it's like to be in an egoic state of fear, uncertainty, anxiety. We begin to feel what it's like to be in an egoic state of separation, division. Wherever we are, we can train as spiritual warriors. Our tools are meditation, presence, mindfulness, cultivating the four limitless qualities of loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity, metta, karuna, mudita, and upekkha, the four faces of the heart. With the help of these practices, we will find the tenderness of bodhicitta in sorrow and in gratitude. Behind the hardness of rage and in the shakiness of fear, we find acceptance and compassion. This practice offers no promise of security, sorry. Rather, this practice offers that this I, this me, this mine, who wants to find security, who wants something to hold on to, will finally learn to grow up. We find ourselves in doubt that we are up to being a warrior in training. We can contemplate this question. If you find yourself in doubt, contemplate this question. Do I prefer to grow up and relate to life directly? Or do I choose to cower and live and die in fear? It is in this way that Dr. King continues in each and every one of us. It is in this way that Dr. Han and the Buddha himself continues in each and every one of us. It is in this way that we build together the beloved community. Thank you.